left or right, that's how I come, left or right, ooh yeah, ah boy.
That's right. Stepping back in from Ethereus, the hostess with the mostest, burning like toast is. It's your boy Cosmonian. Just took off my moon boots. You dig what I'm talking about? In the Etherean shades. You dig what I'm talking about? Threw off my vegan, my vegan Otavan driving gloves. You dig what I'm talking about? Jumped up out the spaceship, right back on the Jehovah Chronicles. This is number 49. Is this 49? Let's see. Yeah, I think this is number 49. Oh, yeah. Jehovah Chronicles, lesson number 49. This is Antiquety Unveiled, part 2. We going back in. Last one was heavy. Oh, man, if you didn't see number 48, go back and look at number 48. What we learning is through mediumship or being channeled, or we see that many of, well, first of all, spirits are coming back and righting their wrongs. But more importantly, we see that it's proving the spiritual life. You dig what I'm talking about? That after your physical body dies, the true you dig what I'm talking about? The soul, you see what I'm saying, continues to live, you know, go on and progress, just like you did in your physical life. You know what I mean? We see that many of these men, these are coming back and speaking through mediums. This is not hard to believe. We've heard there's a billion stories about mediumship, speaking to the angels and to the gods, and you know what I mean. And these is just not just priests and kings and queens that are doing this. No, these are regular people. We've heard about from the beginning of existence. We've heard that man has conversed with the angels. You know what I mean? So at a book that was inspired to be written at the same time Owaspy was, 1881. You know what I mean? We find some real heavy stuff. You know what I mean? Some real true revelations coming out in these times from these books that many of us, as even myself, I didn't learn about it till 2022. You know what I mean? And the info was so amazing. You know what I mean? And then lines up with exactly what Owaspy is telling you is happening in the heavenly realms. We see it actually playing out in real time, and we have real written scripts from men. Whether you believe they real or not, that's not on me. What we're saying is this thing is happening. Whether you believe it or you have enough spiritual intestinal fortitude and guts to grab onto it and look into it yourself and prove all things yourself. You dig what I'm talking about? Shout out to the Creative Gang. Y'all boys is in the house. You dig what I'm talking about? Shout out to my All my brothers and sisters. Elijah 7 in the hitty. Elizabeth Weaver. Is that Ray? Is Ray Elizabeth Weaver? Because only Ray be coming in with the hat. Shout out to Ray. The GOAT, intuitive GOAT, is in the house. You dig what I'm talking about? Stephanie Randall is in the house. My big sister, Vinette Pope. My brother from another mother, the Cali Connect, Young Dreadful. Dreadful Cosmon is in the house. Shout out to everybody. Keon Cooper, that's my sister. Tabitha is in the house, man. Sub, like, share. When you come in, wipe your feet off and hit that thumbs up button, man. We gonna get off into this. So as a repeat about what was going on yesterday, if y'all ain't watched 48, go back, watch 48. We found out that Apollonius of Tyana, a true historical person, said to have walked on water, healed healed the sick, cured the lame, made the blind see, the deaf hear, all the things that they say about Jesus. At the time they say Jesus was doing it, we have historical data proving this man actually existed, written by his contemporaries of the time. This is amazing. So what we found out yesterday was not only is the amalgamated Jesus character, which comes around 325 AD at the Council of Nicaea through Constantine, right? That amalgamated character, part of his life was taken directly from the life of Apollonius of Tyana, being a man born at the beginning of the 1st century, did all these miracles, was a Nazarene, started a sect, cured the blind and the sick, spoke to Josephus, all these things that they claiming that Jesus did. We find real people in real time writing about not Jesus doing these things, but Apollonius of Tyana. So we find out that Apollonius, they've amalgamated his character into not only the Jesus character, but the Paul character. Not only the Paul character, but also John. Island of Patmos, all that stuff. That's Apollonius. Now, yesterday, I was sitting there while we was reading, and they was talking about Apollonius going to Hindustan and into India and grabbing the Christos or Krishna doctrine, or the son of the sun doctrine, right? And I'm sitting in my mind, and I know I'm thinking, I said, man, this is the Aquarian Gospels. The Aquarian Gospels allude to Jesus going to India. But I'm like, but I've heard it somewhere else also. And I'm like, who is recording this so-called man going into India, going back to the Jews and setting up a whole different type of thought through meditation, prayer, and asceticism, right? We see that Apollonius say he did it. Now, the Christians are claiming Jesus did it, right? The Aquarian Gospels say he went to Hindustan and into ancient Vindu and got it. But the Aquarian Gospels are the Christians. So we really can't take they have some skin in the game to try to prove this Jesus character being real. So we can't really take their account of it as real. We got to kind of set it to the side and look at it just like we look at the Christian doctrine, just like we're looking at what Apollonius is saying. But I knew I had heard this story before. And shout out to the MSTA, all my Moors in the house. Shout out to the Honorable Drew Ali, the noble Drew Ali, for bringing this information. I'd heard this as a child in the Circle 7 Quran. The Islamic men are backing up the story of Apollonius going to India. I knew I couldn't. As soon as I got off the live, I said, it's the Circle 7. I've heard this. Now, as we commonly know, it is set up that, it's commonly known that Islam and Christianity are enemies. So for one to later on and go on to purport a thing about a character just leads that really they not rocking with. Leads credence to what the Aquarian Gospel says. What Apollonius says about him creating the epistles of Paul. And not only that, the Gospels later brought by Paul are his, leading credence to his statement. So I wanted to get back into this, that this story is well known in history. Now, let me go here. Let me share my screen. Hold on, I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. Turn that down. We're gonna get into it. I'm gonna share my screen real quick. Boom. Hold on. Okay. And here we go. All right. Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit for y'all. I do look a little small. Now, this is the digital PDF of the Circle 7 Quran. And I knew this. I knew this. So when Apollonius was saying it, it wasn't even from, now you got to understand, me coming up, I grew up a Bible thumping Christian, but the other side of my family were Islamic. So I got the best of both worlds. And then I ran into my Moorish brothers. Now, this is extra credit. This extra credit for anybody out there. Anybody out there listening. It's extra credit from your boy Cosmo. In what city was the very first Moorish science temple created? When was the very first mosque, the Moorish science temple, the very first temple created, and where? What city and where? Anybody know? As I like my split ting. Anybody know? Extra credit? Well, the very first Moorish science temple was created in Mount Clemens, Michigan at 45 Inches Street. It's now today almost Yahori Ben Yarel, That's not the first. The first was created on Inches Street. It's still number 1. If I'm not mistaken, the one on Grand River is 4. Temple number 1 is in Mount Clemens, Michigan. It was at 45 Inches Street. It's now on Lipke in Clinton Township. It's right outside of Mount Clemens. You dig what I'm talking about? But that's temple number 1. Y'all want to guess where I grew up at? Yep. Right in Mount Clemens, Michigan. But guess where? The more science. Oh, we did that Zaza. Ooh, we this that Zaza. This biscotti pancake. Ooh. I grew up. The first more science temple is on 45. I grew up at 82 inches. So trust me, these people have been in my life my whole life. And shout to all the Moors, you dig what I'm talking about, up here in the D. Shout to all my Israelites too, the Essenes and Nazarenes. Shout to all the faithists in the world, all the people who really love the Creator. Shout to the people who know that God and the Creator are not the same thing. Right? Dang, you can even hardly see that. Let me look at that. Let me blow that up just a little bit more. Let me go and blow this up just a little bit more. Let me see if you can see it now. Okay. Now, this is directly out the Circle 7. You did what I'm talking about. No tricks, no jokes, no edits. And for any of the Moors or anybody who ever read it, they know I ain't capping. They know I ain't capping. I ain't adding nothing on to this. Nothing. This is chapter 6. The life and works of Jesus in India among the Muslims. Look at this. Look at this. I knew this story. You did what I'm talking about from coming up as a kid, and it didn't click into my mind because I'm still thinking Bible right at that second. And I said, I know this story. I know this story, and it's not from a Christian writer or a Christian apologist or somebody who has skin in the game. Somebody who is willing to be or wanting to be more right than he is righteous. So this is how we don't get tricked in faithism, y'all. We go look at it all. We don't turn down nothing. You dig what I'm talking about? Faithists are from every walk of life in the world, period. You know what I mean? So we gonna get off into this real quick. All right. And this is chapter 6, right, of the Circle 7 Quran. Let me see if I can blow it up a little bit, get that out the way. All right. Chapter 6, Circle 7 Quran, called The Life and Works of Jesus in India among the Muslims. Remember, Apollonius is telling y'all, not only did I go to India, I went down to the very bottom between India and Sumatra. What did we show yesterday? We showed the Straits of Malacca. You dig what I'm talking about? Hold on one second. We showed the Straits of Malacca. You feel me? We showed the Straits of Malacca right there. Look at India. Massive. In between India, Sumatra, we have the Straits of Malacca. Right? So this is where, when they talk about in these stories, remember, this is where Apollonius says he went to and had to go all the way down here to get this doctrine. Now we got a little more of the text and what is purported to have happened in India. Now, use a little discernment and see if this fits what Apollonius is stating. Okay. A royal prince of India, Ravana, in the south, was at the Jewish feast. Ravana was a man of wealth. He was just, and with a band of Brahmic priests, sought wisdom in the west. So he all the way over here where the Jews at, he meet Jeebus. Watch this. He with Brahmic priests. When Jesus stood among the Jewish priests and read and spoke, Ravana heard and was amazed. And when he asked who Jesus was, from whence he came and what he was, Chief Hillel. Oh, shoot. Is this Hillel the first? Because remember, Hillel the second is the one who set the chronology for the Hebrew calendar, saying the world was only 6,000 years old and started in 3,761 BC. It's Hillel the second that did that. So are they talking about Hillel the first? Watch this. Cosmon don't be making nothing up. Hillel the second. Well, let's see. Back it up. Hold on. Hillel. Hillel the elder. Hillel the elder was born according to tradition in Babylon. So now it makes sense why his son, Hillel II, will use the Babylonian calendar and apply it to quote unquote Hebrew chronology. Why? Because he was a Jew and wasn't an Israelite in the first place. He was born in Babylon. Died in 100 years in 10 CE. So yeah, he was 120. I don't believe he lived that long. In Jerusalem, was a Jewish religious leader, sage, and scholar associated with the development of the Mishnah, The Mishnah is the first major written collection of Jewish oral tradition, which is known as the Oral Torah. It is also the first major work of the rabbinic literature. The Mishnah was redacted by Judah ha-Nasi, probably in Biet Shreim or Sepphoris, and the Talmud. He was a Jewish religious leader and sage and scholar associated with the development of the Mishnah and the Talmud, and the founder of the House of Hillel, School of Tanim, where amongst Jewish scholars, two schools taught during the period of Tanim, named after the sages Hillel and Shammai, who founded them. These two schools had vigorous debates in matters of ritual practice, ethics, and theology. So, purportedly born in 110 BC. For those who done the chronology in Owaspy, this date, 110 BC, right? And I'll give you a little hint. Right here, this 110 BC is a very important date for all the Nazarenes, all the Essenes, all the Israelites, all the faithists. Anybody know what happened in 110 BCE? Anybody know? Just give you a quick insight on this. 110 BCE, the real Yeshua died. He was born in 146 BC, died 36 years later, stoned to death by the Jews. Outside of Jerusalem, 110 BC, 36 years, not 33 years later, 36 years later. He died in 110 BCE. Okay, but let's get back to it. So they saying they tying him, this guy, who would have been in the roughly, you dig what I'm talking about, in the time of now if they saying this is Hillel the first, you dig what I'm talking about. Let's see if it's Hillel the second. Let's just look. Let's look. Let's not be lazy. You dig what I'm talking about. Let's look. Also known as Hillel II or Hillel the Nazi? What? Nazi is a Hebrew title meaning prince. Oh! Prince of the Sanhedrin in Mishnaic Hebrew, or president in modern Hebrew. Oh, the Nazi. Oh! Also known simply as Hillel, was in Emora, refers to a Jewish scholar of the period about 200 to 500 CE. So whoever Hillel the first was, him and Hillel the second are not necessarily, they're not kin to each other. They from two different times. What this probably means to, and why they called this man, this Nazi, Hillel, is because he comes out of that school Hillel the first brought up. Was a Amora of the 5th generation in the land of Israel. He held the office of Nazi of the Sanhedrin between 320 and 385 CE. He was the son and successor of Judah III. Okay, Right. Okay. So now so we can tell he is sometimes confused. Look, right here. Cosmon, keep it real with y'all, man. If I don't know, I don't know, but I'm searching. He is sometimes confused with Hillel the Elder, as the Talmud sometimes simply uses the name Hillel. Uh-oh. So we know this guy is of the 1st century. So we're not talking about Hillel the second. That pins it down. Okay. All right. Circle 7 Quran. Okay. I ain't tripping on you, baby. But I knew this knowledge, man. They gave me this like years ago. We call this child the day star, the sun from on high. S-U-N. Sun from on high. Because we're going to tie this in. Watch this. For we have come to bring to men a light, the light of life, to lighten up the way of men and to redeem his people of Israel. And Hillel told Ravana about the child, about the prophecies concerning him, about the wonders of the night when he was born, about the visit of the Magian priest. Now we know this didn't happen with Apollonius, but we know this happened with the true Yeshua. So if they could be giving you a for real eye testimony about Yeshua, who was born in 146. Hillel the first would have been born at the end of it. But remember, these are titles, names and titles. Hillel is a name and a title. It's a title taken as a name. Same as Ravana. Ravana is a title. It's not necessarily a name. So it's no different than king. So we could be talking about, they could be giving real stuff concerning the real Yeshua, because we know he got seen by the Magian priest. They was looking out for him. We know that the so-called star chariot came out the sky. You dig what I'm talking about? They felt the cool breeze of the higher heavens falling down on them. You dig what I'm talking about? Hillel is telling Ravana about that child, which Ravana, the story being repeated, this could be just a repeat. And they telling about these stories, applying them to from Yeshua, but now later on in time being twisted and told through the eyes of the Islamic Magi. You dig what I'm talking about? Or priests, but the Muslims. You dig what I'm saying? But and Hillel told Ravana all about the child, about the prophecies concerning him, about the wonders of the night he was born, about the visit of the Magian priest, about the way in which he was protected from the wrath of evil men, about his flight to Egypt land, and how he then was serving with his father as a carpenter in Nazareth. So wait. Are they saying, okay, no, this is two different times. Okay. Ravana was entranced, and asked to know the way to Nazareth that he might go and honor such a one as Son of Allah. And with his gorgeous train, he journeyed and came to Nazareth of Galilee. And he found the object of his search engaged in building dwellings for the sons of men. Hmm? Okay, so he's saying when he found this Jesus character, this Apollonius Tayana, he found him building homes for other people. This is what Ravana is saying. And when he first saw Jesus, he was climbing up a 12-step ladder, and he carried in his hand a compass, square, and axe. Ravana said, "All hail." Now, for those who are initiated, right, a 12-step ladder is not really a 12-step ladder. A compass is not really a compass. A square is not really a square. An axe is not really an axe. These are symbols in the mystery schools. For those who are adept and know what they mean, they know I'm not lying. But as they say, all things don't need to be told in public. Some stuff is for the creative gang behind the doors. All hell. If you ain't got this knowledge, that's just too bad. So ain't nobody else cared you ain't had it. So why should I start? Ravana said, "All hail, most favored son of heaven." And at the end, Ravana made a feast for all the people of the town. And Jesus and his parents were honored guests. For certain days, Ravana was a guest in Joseph's home on Marmion Way. He sought to learn the secret of the wisdom of the sun, but it was all too great for him. And then he asked that he might be the patron of the child, might take him to the east, where he could learn the wisdom of the Brahms. And Jesus longed to go that he might learn. And after many days, his parents gave consent. Then he went with proud heart. Ravana, could this be Fraertes? You dig what I'm talking about? Because remember, Ravana just means king. Fraertes was a king in between India and the Jewish lands in Israel, right? Or Palestine. So I'm just putting it together. You dig what I'm talking about? Rock with me though. Began the journey towards the rising sun, towards the east. And after many days, they crossed the sand and reached the province of Orissa and the palace of the prince. The Brahmic priests were glad to welcome home the prince. With favor, they received the Jewish boy. And Jesus was accepted as a pupil in the temple Jagannath. And here he learned the Vedas. And the Manic law. This is the law of Mani. This is the law of Mani. The Brahmic masters. Now remember, none of these guys are in fact faithists. You dig what I'm talking about? But let's just look at the overall totality of the story, already knowing the outcome, and just try to put the breadcrumbs together to fall back into a line of truth that we can trace back right into what's real. You dig what I'm talking about? Shout out to all the OGs out there, man, who really get into this history. You dig what I'm talking about? Be shedding their light for me too, man. Thank y'all, brothers, man. The Brahmic masters wondered at the clear conceptions of the child and often were amazed when he explained to them the meaning of the law. Right now, so this is just another tale going back to prove what Apollonius had been saying the whole time. Philostratus says this nigga went. And it was Apollonius that brought this stuff back. Apollonius say I went. Right? Certain Christian Gnostics say he went. And now we got the enemy saying a dude went this way and came back and influenced the Jews with a doctrine and a text and some stuff that he learned from India. That's going to lead towards what Apollonius is saying. And then timeline's right. You got to always give everybody a little wiggle room. Remember, they telling you a lie that happened hundreds of years before, right? And tying it in with another lie that happened 100 years before, right? And then telling it in the 2nd century. And now we get in the writings from the 4th century that during the times, the 1st century writers, which many of them we don't even have no more. We only have them through 2nd and 3rd and 4th era writers. You dig what I'm talking about? Again, like you can't know Celsus without knowing Origene. It's impossible. Because all the writings of Celsus are contained in Origene, or all what's left of Celsus's writing, because Origene was writing against Celsus. But we're going to go and see what Origene say, how he feel about it now. Right? Let's go. Let's look at this. Let's look at this. We're going to go back into, this is the, this is, once again, Antiquities Unveiled, right? And we're gonna start off with DAMIS, right? We're gonna find DAMIS is the homeboy. He the shotgun riding partner. He the big boy to Apollonius's Andre 3000. In the beginning of the first in the 1st century AD, this was outcast. This is them dudes that was totally nebular. You dig what I'm talking about? To give it a hip hop spin, so you could try. These dudes was just different. You dig what I'm talking about? And these is the homeboys, DAMIS and Apollonius. But remember, they told you Apollonius is really who they get Paul from. So who was Paul homeboy? Timothy. So if we correct, we should be able to tie DAMIS to Apollonius, just like we tied Timothy to Paul. Let's go see what he said. Now this is DAMIS, the homeboy of the so-called Jehovih, the real Jehovih, Apollonius Atayana. Now they riding partners now, right? And notice, you're gonna notice the year they say that DAMIS and Apollonius get together is going to be after the so-called Jesus is already dead. Keep that in mind. Watch this. Now, this is the spirit speaking through a medium. Thousands of years later, coming back to explain this. Believe it or not, I don't give a damn. This shit real. Watch this. I salute you, sir. All subordinate conditions, or such as may be regarded as of an inferior character, must give way where a great object is to be obtained. The spirit opposition to what I am here to say is of the most intense character. That means he got people in the spirit world trying to stop them from giving these revelations, showing that just like people hate on you in the real world, there are some spirit people that hate on you in the spirit world. Dang. He say the spiritual opposition to what I am here to say is the most intense character. He say these niggas is big mad. And we know this little mom. And we know it is all the false. Everybody who come with a false Christ narrative gotta be against this guy. You did what I'm talking about? Don't matter what kind of Christian you is. Don't matter if you say you a Mormon. Don't matter if you say you Catholic, non-denominational, AME, Baptist, Presbyterian, Protestant. If you worship somebody where they telling you that he is Christ, this nigga died on a tree, he did all this other stuff, you have been duped, and it is your God that is trying to stop DAMIS right now from bringing the truth and the light to the world and telling y'all that Jesus that you know in your biblical text is an amalgamated character of multiple men, not just Apollonius, but also Yeshua, but also Zarathustra. The so-called misnamed Zoroaster. Zoroaster don't even come around to about 500 to 600, 700 BC. I'm talking about Zarathustra, who was at 7,000 BC. Trust me, we're not talking about the same thing. Let me get this up off here so we can see. I'm going to go ahead up in here real quick. So they hating on him, trying not to get this light even being brought forth in the heavens. And mind you, they in the lower heavens. Right here off the earth. Subjected to the earth. Everything has been done, dang, that it was possible to do to prevent my coming here. Dang. They shooting at this nigga. They threw spiritual bombs on him. They tried to assassinate this boy in spirit to try to prevent him from coming here. This has got to be deep. In the first place, I know personally the truth of all that I say here, that I shall here say. Secondly, I know that the evidence exists that will support all I say. And thirdly, I know that Apollonius of Tyana, my master or teacher, was the Jesus Christ of the Christians. Ooh, body blow. Ooh, that left hand hurt. That left hand hurt. Okay, listen what he said. He said, one, in the first place, I know personally the truth of all that I'm about to say. Two, I know that the evidence exists that will support all I say. And three, I know that Apollonius is really Jeebus, nigga. Ooh. Boy, you got some proving to do, DAMIS. We must now proceed in a systematic way to prove the truth of what I have said. Now, lying ass niggas don't do this. Lying ass niggas don't point you to show how you can prove what they saying. No, they try to muddle mouth and mealy mouth up a retort that is so fallacious and mixed with truth that you can't tell. No, he's saying, I'm about to show you this deep. He say, we must now proceed in a systematic way to prove the truth of what I have said. The place where I was born was Ephesus. I was an Ephesian and not a Cappadocian nor a Ninevite. I was born in the city which was the chief seat of the worship of the great Diana of the Ephesians. The bond of unity between myself and Apollonius was, where he's saying why we were so tight, right, was that we were both mediums. Oh, these boys both had suis, in whose presence materialized spirits appeared. So these boys could, they had suis and sardius, both of them. Okay, let's go, DAMIS. Let's go. Let's see what you're talking about. Go do it, cuz. He said, this is why we even got together in the first place. That's why I like the nigga. When I was present with Apollonius, the spirit manifestations that occurred were stronger. And so with the manifestations that occurred through me when he was present. Apollonius made 2 journeys to India. Dang. So there's 5 people back in. This is 5 different instances saying Apollonius went to India. DAMIS saying he went twice. He made 2 journeys to India, and not one as is generally supposed. The last of these was from about AD 45 to AD 50. It was when on that journey, which was the second one, you dig what I'm talking about? Give me a second, y'all. Let me knock some music. Get this thing going real quick. Hold on. Get back to it. All right. He said the last of these journeys was from AD 45 to 1850. It was on that journey that he reached farther India, whence he brought back the Indian Gospels in relation to the Hindu god Christos. Remember, Josephus don't say the name of Jesus, nor does he say the name of Apollonius. But he does call that character who does those things that Apollonius is saying he does call him Christos. That's deep. The first journey to India by Apollonius was about 36 to 38 AD. On that journey, he obtained a few extracts from those Hindu gospels. So he had the Hindu gospels 36, 38 AD before he went back some 10, 15 years later. You see what I'm saying? He had already had a few extracts from those Hindu gospels. Look at this. This is crazy right here. Look at this. The first attempt of Apollonius to introduce the religion of Christos in Western Asia was made shortly. Hold on one second. Okay. Was made, where was that? Was made shortly after his return from India at Nazarene, a small village near Gaza. Could this be the so-called Nazareth, city of Nazareth? Is this why he took the name Nazarene? Check it out. After his return from India at Nazarene, a small village near Gaza, he there formed a community according to the Gymnosophic ideas and practices. The principle of the initiation is expressed in that famous text of what is termed the scriptures, where it is said, "Thou art a priest after the order of Melchizedek." The son, okay, hold on. The original meaning of that was a priest after the order of the sun. It was also Parsi worship, or Persian, the Parsi. These are the Persians who speak Parsi to this day, worship, and was at a remote period derived from the golden rules of Hermes Trismegistus. Thou art a priest after the order of Melchizedek. The original meaning of that was a priest after the order of the sun. It was also the Parsi worship and was at a remote period derived from the golden rules of Hermes Trismegistus, or from Hesiod. The last named was the author of the seven thieves, of the seven before thieves, and Agamemnon. The works of both those ancient writers contain the expression, "Thou art a priest, Michael, forever after the order of the sun." Now, I went and looked for these, right? I got the seven before thieves, and I got Hesiod's Agamemnon, and I got I don't have Hesiod's Agamemnon. I have Asclepius's book on Hesiod's Agamemnon. I can't find the word yet, right? But let's go on and figure it out. I know that there are multiple texts, so you know what I mean. I just had to keep looking for that personally, but I haven't found that yet personally. But we see the son of the sun. That doctrine is old, and it comes directly out of Egypt. It's sun worship. Same thing that they was applying with the so-called Hindu Christos mythos. So that's a tie right there. Just a little something to put into the back. The works of both of these ancient writers contains the expression, "Thou art a priest, Michael, forever after the order of the sun." The first works that my master brought from India contain the teachings of Christos. Funny, Josephus don't speak about Jesus, but he speak on Christos, doing everything Jesus was supposed to have did, and Apollonius is saying he did. And mind you, Apollonius lived during that time. He was a real historical person. There is no doubting this guy. He said the first works that my master brought from India contain the teachings of Christos before their reformation by Devi Bodhisuta in the reign of King Ashoka. Oh! Ashoka is around 250 BC. I told you they could have been talking about the real Jesus. Stories from the real Yeshua and applying them to Jesus, because in between that time we got a real man who was doing the same thing, Apollonius. Oh, he said before their reformation, in the reign of King Ashoka. Ashoka is circa 250, 200 BC. Before the birth of Yeshua, before the birth of Apollonius. Dig this. They say Ashoka's real name was Azabel. He was a Tamil king. Azabel meant the rising sun. The books which Apollonius afterward used, he obtained on his second journey when he went to visit Iarchus, the chief of the wise men in further India near Singapore. Look where he at. Right? And I'm gonna bring it back to this other point too. I don't want to go too far. I went with him on his second journey and not on his first. So after Jesus would have already been dead is when the two trips both were made. DAMIS said, I went on the second one to see Iarchus. But we passed up something real crazy. And if Apollonius did not go to India, he did not speak to these what they call the chief of the wise men. Do y'all know what these wise men from India are called? Do y'all know what they call? They are called, look, right up here. We walk right past it. Gymnosophists. The Gymnosophists were the wise men of India, or farther India, near Singapore. Let me show you. Now, there's no way, if Apollonius is lying, right? He's not telling the truth. His name should have no bearing whatsoever with the Gymnosophists. There should be no mention of this guy at all, ever. I want to show y'all something. Let's go look into the Gymnosophists, see who they were. Watch this. Let me blow your mind real quick. The Gymnosophists in ancient Greek, i.e., the naked philosophers. These are these wise men of India. The Gymnosophists means naked wise men. From the Greek word gymnos, meaning naked, and Sophia, meaning wisdom, is the name given by the Greeks to certain Indian philosophers. Okay, right? Who pursued asceticism to the point of regarding food and clothing as detrimental to purity of thought. They were noted to have been vegetarian by several Greek authors. Watch this. Let me blow your mind. There were also Gymnosophists in Upper Egypt. This is what we call Southern Egypt, who were called Ethiopian Gymnosophists by who? I can't even make it up this good. I can't even make it up this good. I can't make it up this good. There were also Gymnosophists in Upper Egypt, Lower Egypt, or Southern Egypt, which is Thebes. The other one is in Lower Egypt, which is in the north, called Avaris, who were called Ethiopian Gymnosophists by Apollonius of Tyana, was a Greek Neo-Pythagorean philosopher from the town of Tyana in the Roman province of Cappadocia in Anatolia. He is the subject of the life of Apollonius of Tyana, written by Philostratus over a century after his death. It's not a century after his death, right? Because remember, this is written, if I'm not mistaken, in circa 160. Remember, this nigga died, Apollonius of Tyana died in 99 AD. So only 50 years we got the life of Apollonius. Ooh-wee. Ooh. Look, man. Look at this. Now, and yeah, it's also a great story about this, where Alexander caught some of them Gymnosophists. You dig what I'm talking about? And you dig what I'm talking about? And questioned them. You dig what I'm talking about? That come through Plutarch, and here go to the thing right here. This is a meeting. It should be 10 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's 10 of them. Watch this. This picture is about Alexander meeting the Gymnosophists. Watch this. The term Gymnosophist was used by Plutarch, right? 46 CE to 120 CE, in the 1st century CE, when describing an encounter by Alexander the Great with 10 Gymnosophists near the banks of the Indus River in what is now Pakistan. Over here. Right here. What's this right here? What cut all that off? The Zagros. All that Zagros Mountains. Okay. He, Alexander, captured 10 Gymnosophists who had done most to get Sabas to revolt and had made the most trouble for the Macedonians. These philosophers were reputed to be clever and concise when in answering questions, and Alexander therefore put difficult questions to them, declaring that he would put to death him who first made an incorrect answer, and then the rest in an order determined in like manner. And he commanded one of them. Now watch how they answer him. Watch the questions they ask, and then watch how they answer them. This is actually dope. Watch how, and they say this is historical. They say this is historical. He was there. He did what he said he did. So they say this is historical. Watch this. In like manner, and he commanded one of them, the oldest, to be the judge in the contest. The first one, right? Hold on. The first one, accordingly, being asked which, in his opinion, were more numerous, the living or the dead, he said that the living were, since the dead no longer existed. The second, being asked whether the earth or the sea produced larger animals, said the earth did, since the sea was just part of the earth. And the third being asked what animal was the most cunning, said that which is up to this time man has not discovered. Facts. The fourth, when he asked why he had induced Sabas to revolt, replied, because I wished him either to die nobly or live. The fifth, being asked which in his opinion was older, day or night, replied, a day, by one day. And he added, upon the king expressing dissatisfaction, that unusual questions must have unusual answers. Right? You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. So they just clowning on him. Really, they way over his head, but they answering the question. Passing on then to the sixth, Alexander asks how a man could be most loved. If, said the philosopher, he is the most powerful and yet does not inspire fear. Of the three remaining, he who was asked how one might become a god instead of a man, replied, by doing something which a man cannot do. The one who was asked which was the stronger, life or death, answered life, since it supports so many ills. Oh, that's deep. That's actually deep. The one who was asked which is the stronger, life or death, he answered life. Life is stronger, since it supports so many ills. Dang. Boy, that's Atlantic deep. And the last asked, how long it were well for a man to live. Answered, until he does not regard death as better than life. So then, turning to the judge, Alexander bade him give his opinion. The judge declared that they were answered one worse than another. Well then, said Alexander, thou shalt die first for giving such a verdict. That cannot be, O king, said the judge, unless thou falsely says that thou wouldst put to death him who answered worst. So they tricked him. Damn, got the nigga. These philosophers then he dismissed with gifts. They got him. Dang. You see how they tricked Alexander? They hit him with the answers. He turned around, asked Dog. Dog gave him the best possible answer. So you can't kill none of them now. So he let and the king knew that the answers was good. The king knew. So he threw it right back in his face. Unless thou falsely said that thou wouldst put death first him who answered worst. Huh? Tricked him. These philosophers then he dismissed with gifts. Look at that. He was about to kill these niggas. Now he's dismissing them with gifts. I went with him on the second journey and not on his first. I never saw, look what he say, I never saw Phrates, the king of Tahia. I was a disciple of Apollonius and remained at Ephesus and at Thessalonica while he was away on his first journey to India. Right? So they was already rocking with each other before 34 AD. 36. The most important part of the life of Apollonius extended over the reigns of, look at this. And he noted in all these people histories, the most important part of the life of Apollonius extended over the reigns of, now these are Roman emperors, Tiberius, Caligula, Claudius, Nero, Vespasian, Titus, Domitian, Nerva, and into the reign of Trajan. I passed to spirit about 90 AD. I wrote memoirs of Apollonius from about 34 AD. G was supposed to already be dead. He wrote from 34 AD to 80 AD. The Greek followers of Prometheus mutilated these documents. Now, this is the Greek followers of Prometheus are the followers of the sun, right? The sons of the sun, the Melchizedeks of Egypt. Same people. They just took the philosophy to Greek, and it's called Prometheus instead of Re. The worshipers of Re, son of the sun, or Horus worship, is now Prometheus worship. Mutilated those M1, them niggas. This is where you get the Melchizedek shit from. They were greatly opposed to the introduction of the Indian Christos among the Greeks, and were exceedingly opposed to Apollonius and his teachings. Apollonius and myself were youthful companions. Oh, when I was at Tyana. So he was at Tyana. They was young homies. Apollonius was the real Paul. Dang. This is rendered plain by the epistles to Timothy. Listen to this. Listen to this. He said Apollonius was the real Paul. This is rendered plain by the epistles to Timothy. I was called Timotheus by the Thessalonians. What you have received in relation to Apollonius of Tyana is all true. Apollonius was the founder of the Nazarene sect. Listen, how you say the word Nazarite meant to clear off the head bare. Question: this they asking the spirit. How came the Nazarites to afterwards take the name Essenes? Right? This is the answer. The name Essene is Phoenician and meant sun baptism or fire baptism. The initiation into the sect of the Essenes required the candidate to pass through two flames, one a bright and the other a pale one. Now we know this is adeptship here, what they're talking about. So he telling it, you dig what I'm talking about, how it is, right? The name Essene is Phoenician and meant sun baptism or fire baptism. The faithists understand right now what they're talking about, to pass through the flame. One of a great light and one of a lesser one. Huh? I was twice at Rome with Apollonius. I was there in 41, and I was there in 62 and 63 AD. Question: were you at Rome when Apollonius was tried before Domitian? Answer: no, I was not. I was then at Alexandria in Egypt, where I died. I left my writings and other property to my sister Samastra. After my death, she came to Alexandria. You say, after my death, she came to Alexandria and carried my writings to Tyana in Cappadocia. Other spirits will follow me, Porcius Festus, Agrippa, and I think Josephus. To what he's saying is to prove what he's saying. Question: how came it that Josephus made no mention of Apollonius of Tyana? Answer: Josephus, Apollonius, and myself were all initiated in the secret order called the Sons of the Sons, the Melchizedeks. Boom. No spooky shit. There ain't no man that ain't got no father and no mother and no descent, and he don't just popped up out of nowhere. This is the sun worship. Huh? Listen to what he's saying. He say, how he didn't mention that nigga? He say, Josephus, Apollonius, and myself were all initiated in the secret order called the Sons of the Sun. The emperors Claudius, Vespasian, Vespasian, Titus, Domitian, Nerva, and Trajan were all initiated in that order, and it was therefore made a binding rule upon the members that they should manifest no outward relation to one another. Bag drizzle. Dang. This boy drops me. This is crazy. Let me go a little further. So that if the brethren of the order had occasion to favor each other or afford mutual protection in times of trouble and danger to them, their secret relations to each other should not be known. Oh. Marcion and Lucian obtained mutilated copies of my memoirs concerning Apollonius and used them in shaping their gospel tragedies. Dang. So he's saying Marcion and Lucian are the writers of the damn gospels. Oh. If further information is needed about those matters, it will be given through Aranamah. That's another guy that is going to come up and speak. We regard this communication as of the very highest import and value as a means towards solving some of the most perplexing problems connected with the origin and real nature of the Christian religion. It was intended that this communication should have been given at the sitting 1 week previously, but the opposing spirit influences were so strong that it became necessary to defer giving it until a more favorable opportunity, as it was when given. The opposition at times was so great as to compel frequent breaks in the continuation of the testimony of this thoroughly informed spirit. So they trying to stop this dude from telling this even after death. That's that little man coming after that boy. And he could only proceed by the greatest power of will and the complete control of the medium's organism. So you're talking about the medium, the sleeping man. The man is in a trance. He had to totally control it because they was trying to stop this. Man, he dropped a whole bunch of heat. Very little can be gleaned from the biographical or historical sources concerning DAMIS, and very little of that can be relied upon on account of the efforts that have been made to conceal everything possible that was true in relations to Apollonius of Tyana and his Nazarite disciples. We take the following brief reference to him from the novella Biography Generale, DAMIS, a Greek historian of Assyrian origin. He wrote in the 1st century AD and was an inhabitant of New Nineveh. He joined Apollonius of Tyana in that city and accompanied that thaumaturg. I don't know what a thaumaturg is. In his journey, he wrote an account of those journeyings in which he inserted the discourses and prophecies of his master. His work seemed to have served as the basis of the life of Apollonius by Philostratus. The style of it was rude and indicated him to be a foreigner raised among barbarians. The Biography Universale, entreating in treating of Apollonius of Tyana alludes to Damis as following. He, Apollonius, quitted Antioch, followed only by 2 servants, and he went to Nineveh. When chance offered him a new disciple named DAMIS, who became his faithful companion and remained attached to him as long as he lived. This young man, who was versed in the languages of the East, was very useful to his master on his journey and constantly expressed for him a religious veneration that often amounted to superstition. Damis, this is what, now look, this is what I like about the dudes who doing this history on this stuff, right? They just laying it out there. No tricks. This is what they can find. Damis had written very full details concerning his master, excuse me. These writings bequeathed by him to one of his relatives remember he told his sister, at a later period became the property of Julia, the wife of Septimius Severus. This princess entrusted to Philostratus, an eloquent sophist of high reputation, the duty of editing the life of Apollonius, the philosopher of Tyana. This princess entrusted to Philostratus. So we see the line of from Damis, right, to his sister, Julia, who was the wife of Septimius Severus. She then turned and gave it to Philostratus, who wrote the book on Apollonius, showing the direct line of control, how it got to Philostratus. Showing this is from one hand to the other, a direct line. So from Damis to his sister, Julia, who was the wife of Septimius Severus, which is how she could get it to Philostratus. Remember, it was taken back up to Greece, back up to Cappadocia. Proving what Damis is saying. We showing the line of control right here. Damis had written very full details concerning his master. These writings were bequeathed by him to one of his relatives. We found out that that's his sister. Right? Now, at a later period, right? Who is Sumatra, right? At a later period, it became the property of Julia. How? Because Sumatras gave it to Julia. Who is Julia? She is the wife of Septimius Severus. Roman Caesar at the time. This princess entrusted. Now she then turned it over to Philostratus. So we see the direct line of control. Dang, that's crazy. That's crazy. You can hardly do that in any other text, but about this one, that line of light was kept open. Jaja be working. Even in the best of lies, you find that line of light. From Damis to Sumatras to Julia to Philostratus, he writes the book directly. Dang. I don't know about y'all, but this cool as hell, man. If y'all getting a little something up out of this, man, let your boy know. Hit me with a 1 in the chat, man. Let me know y'all getting a little something up out this thing, man. This is crazy. Show me a line of control for the books of Moses. Huh? That's what you do. Show me that. If you're getting a little something out of, hit me with the one in the chat, man. It's your boy Cosmonian, man. Let's get right back up into it real quick. You dig what I'm talking about? Let's see what they talking about. Let's see what they talking about. This is about the extent of what has been preserved to us of references to DAMIS by name. But in the Pauline epistles, this is the epistles of Paul, there can be little doubt that he is referred to as DAMIS. In that connection, I cite DAMIS. In that connection, I cite the following reference to DAMIS from McClintock and Strong's Encyclopedia of Biblical Literature. DAMIS, a companion of the Apostle Paul during his first imprisonment at Rome, right? Remember, he said he was there for one, he wasn't there for the other. Called by him, his fellow laborers, Senescus, in Philemon 24, see also Colossians 4 and 14. At a later period, 2 Timothy 4 and 10, we find him mentioned as having deserted the apostle through love of this present world and gone to Thessalonica circa AD 64. This departure has been magnified by tradition into the apostasy from Christianity. See Ephanias 6. Harris Lee 6, which is by no means implied in the passage. There may seem to be a contradiction between the two claims on the part of the Spirit that he was both Damis or Demas and Timotheus or Timothy, and yet there may be no such contradictions after all. The Spirit tells us he was called by the Thessalonians Timotheus. I will show, I think, very clearly that the testimony of the Spirit is fully borne out by the testimony of the New Testament. But I will defer this until it is reached in its proper order. It seems from this Spirit's testimony that there is hardly anything said of him, even in the biography of Apollonius by Philostratus, which is strictly true, and much that cannot be true. But for this, Philostratus may not have been to blame. No one can now tell what Philostratus really wrote concerning Apollonius and his disciples, for his work has been mutilated and interpolated to such an extent as to leave it of little value on many points of the history of the Cappadocian Savior. Philostratus, as his work has come down to us, is made to say that Apollonius Italiana made only one journey to India, while it is certain that he must have made two. And the events of the two journeys have been interblended and confounded as to leave the most perplexing uncertainty. For we have found this man a pestilent fellow and a mover of sedition among all the Jews throughout the world, and a ringleader of the sects of Nazarenes. See what he say. As I say in commenting on the communications of Ananias, the Jewish high priest, it is as certain as can be that there never was a religious sect in Judea or elsewhere that was called the sect of Nazarenes. Hold on, let me go back. As I say, in commenting on the communication of Ananias, the Jewish high priest, it is as certain as can be, that there never was a religious sect in Judea or elsewhere that was called the sect of the Nazarenes, while it is just as certain that there was a Nazarite sect, and as it appears, it took rise in Judea near its southern border. If Paul was a Nazarene and the ringleader of that sect, is it not very strange that none of the epistles which are attributed to him say anything whatever about him, Paul, having been a Nazarene? Ooh. Indeed, if we may believe the gospel of St. Matthew, to be a Nazarene did not denote membership in any religious sect, but merely a residence in a city called Nazareth. Matthew 2:23, where it is said, and he, Joseph, came out and dwelt in a city called Nazareth, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the prophets, he shall be called a Nazarene. Oh man, I'm drinking a little tea. This tea slapping. You dig what I'm talking about? And this I'm gonna have to get up off this fast tonight. Your boy kind of hungry. Shout out to all the people out there fasting, man. And let me see. Let me go down here. If to be a Nazarene then was to belong to a sect called Nazarenes, that which was spoken by the prophets has never yet been fulfilled. It has been supposed that Nazarenes was a name given to the first Christians by their adversaries. It is a conceded fact that no sect that called themselves Nazarene had any existence before the 2nd century, and therefore that Paul, who did not survive the 1st century, could not with any propriety have been charged with being the ringleader of the Nazarene straight drop. That's fire. On the other hand, if Apollonius was the ringleader of the Nazarites, a well-known religious sect of that time, and if that sect was bitterly hated by the Jews, as was the case, it becomes almost certain that the man accused before Felix, right? Before the king of Rome, was Apollonius of Tyana, a Cappadocian Greek and not a Jew at all. Oh! Killing Paul. This Paul is dead. Don't nobody say nothing to me about Paul. Say nothing to me about that doctrine, nothing to me about that. How the hell Paul get books written in the New Testament before the Gospels? The epistles written before the Gospels. It's only James that write, who is the real brother of Yeshua. Now, if we find out that Apollonius had a brother named James, I'm a bug out. I'm a bug out. But how this nigga have epistles written before the Gospels? Paul never met Yeshua, never met Jesus. Not at all. And you wrote more than the actual high prophet at the time, who was the brother of Jesus, James. How you got more text than the high priest? Huh? And this is how you end up in front of the king, Felix, in Rome. He wouldn't have even bothered if you were a Jew, but you weren't. You were Apollonius, a Roman citizen already, just like they trying to tell you Paul was. Oh. Let's go back. In view of further facts that the man accused. Hold on, let's go back. We got to read that back. We gotta go back one more time. On the other hand, if Apollonius was the ringleader of the Nazarites, a well-known religious sect of that time, and if that sect was bitterly hated by the Jews, as was the case, it becomes almost certain that the man accused before Felix was Apollonius of Tyana, a Cappadocian Greek, and not a Jew at all. And look what it say. In view of further facts that the man accused did not deny that he was the ringleader of the sect which was so hated by the Jews, and that he claimed to be a Roman citizen and only amenable to the Roman law, what was almost a certainty, with those facts added, became a certainty. And the common identity of Paul and Apollonius is settled beyond successful contradiction. Bag drizzle. Shout out to honor and humility of my brother Malachi Maccabee. Because they play heavy into this too. Look. Let's go back and read it. Let's slow it down. In view of further facts that the man accused before Felix, right, did not deny that he was the ringleader of the sect which was so hated by the Jews. Now they're trying to apply this to Christians, but it was really the Nazarenes, right, who are from the Essenes, right? He went around the Essenes, created this thing, but look, it's just being applied to him, but he didn't deny it, right? He did not deny that he was the ringleader of the sect which was so hated by the Jews, and that he claimed to be a Roman citizen and only amenable to the Roman law. That was almost a certainty. With those facts added, became a certainty. And the common identity of Apollonius and Paul is settled beyond successful contradiction. Not only so, but the truth of the Spirit's testimony in relation to the founding of the Nazarite sect and the nature of their worship and social polity is equally set at rest. The people who in the 2nd century and after were called themselves Nazarenes, were not Christians. Bizzle drizzle. Now see, this is what we always come to do, man. Let me tap in real quick. This is what we always come to do. We come to balance all balances and check all checks, because you know what happens next when you see that butterfly vortex. Let it sit in. The people who were calling themselves Nazarenes in the first place were not even Christians. So how, even if you try to apply Jesus to this, right? How could he become a Christian when the Nazarenes were never Christian? Nor claimed to be, nor tried to be. Let it sink in for a second. Let it sink in for a second. That's crazy. That's crazy. They believed it was necessary to unite the Jewish ceremonial law with the precepts of Jesus and refer to a Hebrew gospel of Matthew. In fact, they were even more Jews than Christians. And it is hardly likely that St. Paul was one of that sect. Although the writer of the Acts has exhausted his ingenuity and convicted himself of falsehood in trying to do so. What the Spirit. Now let's look at this Melchizedek stuff. Now let's see if this applied to the Son. Let's see what he talking about. What the Spirit says in regard to the passage of the scripture, "Thou art a priest after the order of Melchizedek," is very peculiar as being a formula of initiation among the Nazarites. We are told by the Spirit that this ceremonial expression originally meant a priest after the order of the Son, and was used in that sense by the Parsis or the Persians, and that it was at a remote period derived from the golden rules of Hermes Trismegistus, or from Hesiod. Now Hesiod is circa 700 BC, but they say Hermes Trismegistus existed before Moses, so that would put him positive 1600 BC, because we know when Moses was around. But okay, so just giving you a timeline, right? Let's see what they say. Nothing is more certain than that Hermes Trismegistus and Hesiod were priests after the order of the Son. One was as of Oro Mazda. What? The one as of Oro Mazda or Mazda. Oh! Oh! What? Nothing is more certain than Hermes Trismegistus and Hesiod were priests after the order of the Son. Huh? We see Jaja allowed this worship too. Because they as three forms of light, you did what I'm talking about. The sun, the physical fire on the earth, and the spiritual light. Oh shit, Ormast. Oh, you can't even fake this. The one as of Order Mazda or Order Mazd, and the other as Prometheus. Didn't I tell you? Worshippers of the sun go to Greek and worshippers of the sun in Egypt, worshippers of Re, the priest of Horus, go to Egypt and become worshippers of Prometheus, the son of the sun. Same thing with Horus worship. What does it call it? The son of the sun. Mixing it with Ormuz worship. Look at this. The one as of Ormuz, real creator worship, and the other as of Prometheus, deity worship. Huh? You can't even make this up. I wish I was this clever to make this up. Man, there is something so peculiar, not only about the text or the passage to which the spirit of DAMIS refers, but that it should be so positively connected with Apollonius and the Nazarite sect, which he seems to have founded, that I will quote the passage of the New Testament in which it is used or referred to. In Hebrews 3:1, we read, "Wherefore, holy brethren, partakers of the heavenly calling, consider the apostle and high priest of our profession, Jesus Christ," or Christ Jesus, excuse me. Here we have Christ Jesus made an apostle and high priest of the profession of the holy brethren, partakers of the heavenly calling. Who are those holy brethren? What was their profession? In what manner were the partakers of the heavenly calling? Who made Jesus the apostle and high priest of the holy brethren? When those questions are answered, we will find that the spirit of DAMIS has suggested the answer to them all. Right? Let me see. It has been strongly contended that the author of the Pauline epistles was not the author of the epistles to the Hebrews. Why? Because it comes too near to disclosing the true authorship of all those epistles. In none of the other epistles was Christ Jesus made to figure as an apostle and a high priest. In Hebrews 3:14, we read, "Seeing then that we have a great high priest, that is passed into the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God, or the Son of the Son, let us hold fast our profession." What are you professing? Here we have the same Christ, Jesus, figuring as a great high priest that is passed into the heavens. If the expression had been is passed into heaven, it would not so plainly have been indicated that this great high priest was the great luminary of the day, which so grandly presides over the celestial hierarchy. This is sun worship, not S-O-N, S-U-N. We have no doubts that the words Jesus, the Son of God, in that passage are a fraudulent interpolation in the Nazarite epistle to the Hebrews, and that the Nazarite epistle was written by the founder of the Nazarite sect, Apollonius of Tyana, and more than that, that it was for writing that very epistle to the Hebrews that Ananias, high priest of the Jews, through Tertullus, charged him, Apollonius, before Felix with being a mover of sedition among all the Jews throughout the world. In Hebrews, verse Hebrews 5, 4, 5, 6. We read, now this is the charges that they brought up on Paul. Huh? Hebrews 5, 4, 5, and 6, we read, and no man taketh this honor unto himself, but he that is called of God, as was Aaron. So also Christ glorified not himself to be made a high priest. Huh? So also Christ glorified not himself to be made a high priest, but he that said unto him, thou art my son, today have I begotten thee. As he saith also in another place, thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. Wow. Now it is very evident that neither of these sayings could have been addressed to the Christ Jesus. For the first saying was used in Psalms 2 and 7. And the second in Psalms 110 and 4. There will hardly be anyone who will be rash enough to claim that either of those sayings was addressed to the Christ Jesus, for the latter was never heard of as God, man or myth, until many hundreds of years after those psalms were composed. In Hebrews 7, 1, 2, 3, and 4, we read, let's see. For this Melchizedek, king of Shalom, peace, priest of the Most High God, whom met Abraham, returning from the slaughter of the kings, and blessed him, to whom also Abraham gave a tenth part of all, first being by interpretation king of righteousness, and after that also king of Shalom, which is king of peace, without father, listen, without father, without mother, without descent. So that means he don't come from nobody, and don't nobody come from him. Listen, having neither beginning of days nor end of life. Huh? So we know Jesus was born and he died on the cross. Apollonius was born and he died when he was 90 something, damn near 100. So whatever they talking about, they not talking about a physical man. Right? So what son are they talking about? Let's look. Without father, without mother, without descent, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but made like unto the Son of the Son, or the Son of God, abideth a priest continually. Now consider how great this man was, unto whom even the patriarch Abraham gave a tenth of his spoils. Yes, we consider how great this man was, without a father, without a mother, without descent, and who had neither beginning nor end of life. And we have come to the conclusion that he was no man at all. Let it sink in. Christianity is old heathen sun worship, taken directly from Mithra, who they also call Prometheus. Ooh-wee. I remember an old Hebrew was trying to tell me I'm from the line of Melchizedek. I'm from the ancient line of Melchizedek. Yeah, nigga, you's a sun worshiper, you's a heathen, a pagan. You dig what I'm talking about? An Assyrian. Yeah. We have come to the conclusion that he was no man at all, and no high priest or king who ever reigned among mankind. This Melchizedek, listen, was something else than a man. And we conclude that he was what the spirit of DAMIS says he was, the king of the day and the high priest of the heavens. Come on, y'all. Who is the king of the day? The sun. Who is the high priest of the heavens? The sun. Just so we know what we're talking about, what is the solar orb? Anybody? Anybody? Huh? Anybody? The sun. Personified, this is the key word, personified, deified as a human king and high priest. Uh-oh. Somebody just hit Jesus' head, hit him over the head and took his wallet. Because this nigga ain't even real. It would be irrational. Listen to what they saying. Listen to what they saying. Just listen. This is to my Christian brothers. This is not diss. This is not a diss. We want you to wake up. That they duped you just like they duped your mama, and they duped your granny, and they duped your great granny, and your third great granny, and your fourth, and fifth, and sixth, and seventh. And now you just blindly going along with what you've been taught. You just regurgitate the lie. Because you don't know this type of information. But you also ain't looking and trying to tell us we wrong for going to find it. Be careful. You did what I'm talking about. Be careful. You don't want us to stop telling you this. You don't want us to stop making you think, because we'll leave you in that dark little spiritual corner you trapped in. All praise to the Most High Creator. It would be irrational to conclude otherwise. The Son is a king without a father or mother or descent, and without beginning or end of life, and the only such king that human imagination can even plausibly conjure up. In Hebrews 2 and 11, didn't I tell you? In 2 and 11, if therefore perfection were by the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people received the law, what further need was there that another priest should rise after the order of Melchizedek and not be called after the order of Aaron? Question. If therefore perfection came from the Levitical priesthood, where y'all received that law, that written law that Moses never had. The real Israelites never had no written law. That's only for the who? Levitical, the Levites. The Levites are not Israelites. Must I prove this? Huh? Hold on. Let's go back a little bit. And we're going to show you that Moses ain't had no written law. And he only wrote it because he didn't trust you niggas that was trying to be Israelites. So he wrote you a book. Think of how the insanity, how irrational it is to think that you need to tell Israelites you got to write them a book on how to be Israelites. Look what Moses. Moses ain't like you niggas neither. It's all good. And in many days, Moses wrote the Levitican laws, not for Israelites, for the Leviticans, not for the people who knew the law, for the niggas who didn't know the law, not for the Israelites who didn't have no written laws, but for the people who had no laws, heathenistic, godless, barbaric, and of little knowledge. You niggas that followed us up out of Egypt. You don't like it when nobody talk to you like that. I don't care. And in not many days, Moses wrote the Levitican laws. For the inner temple of Jehovah was in spoken words only. The inner temple of Jehovah was in spoken words only, which Moses and the Israelites could get to. But he had to write Levitican laws for the hangers on. See, y'all think the Levite make you Israelite. No, this actually proves that if you follow the Levitican laws, you are not an Israelite. Why? Because the inner temple of Jehovah was in spoken words only. The written shit was for the niggas who was not Israelites who said they wanted to be. What we call them wannabes? Leviticans. What's the doctrine you use in your Bible is called? The Levitican law. You're not an Israelite. Look into your history. What was you doing? If you were doing what the Christians was doing, you're not an Israelite. You a Jew. But the outer temple was written for the niggas who couldn't see. If you was an Israelite, you didn't need laws. You could go to the inner temple. Right? Because you had these spoken words. But for the niggas who needed a priest, somebody to go intersect for you, you had to pay these niggas. Somebody who to teach you how to be an Israelite. Your stuff was written and was on the outside. The outer temple was written. So that, look what it say. Read it and weep. So that it was said the Hebrews have two laws. One which no other man knows except the Israelites, not even the Leviticans. And one for those who are not eligible by faith. They are not faithists. Being, what are they called? Being those who were called Leviticans. So yeah, you still following that Levitican law. You not an Israelite. Ha! Right? But these is the people, real Leviticans is the people who trying to change over to really be Israelites, who really try to follow a law so they can get right. But y'all not even really them, not even Leviticans in fact. But what are you? Hangers on, wannabes. want to be Israel. You want to be a fakers. You want to be a scene. You want to be Nazarene. Well, you won't even change your diet. Huh? Talk to me. You won't even stick to the first law. The first law is the dietary law. You won't even stick to that, and you're going to try to preach some Levitican doctrine, some outside shit. Huh? You a hanger-on. You a wannabe. Huh? You a sucker. A leech. A Jew. Huh? Yeah, they probably going to ban you for that one. But guess what? It's the truth. Where these people come from? Who have followed the Israelites out of Egypt and who were, for the most part, had no God, little judgment, and no learning. That's y'all. You touting that Bible prove you ain't Israel. Moses ain't had no book. Abram ain't had no book. Yeshua ain't had no book. If therefore perfection came through the Levitical priesthood, for that's where you receive the law from, and that's where you niggas get your law, what further need was there for another priest should rise after the order of Melchizedek and not be called after the order of Aaron? Question. Here we can see that it was this attempt on the part of Apollonius, the founder of the Nazarites, to subvert the Jewish priesthood, who claimed their priestly authority from the high priest Aaron, the same as they do today. Ask a Jew how he proves he's an Israelite. He's going to go right back to Aaron in this Levitical priesthood. The add-ons, the tie-ins. Huh? The niggas who was not Israelites, who followed. You was just enslaved with us. You followed us out of there. You seen Moses cutting up. You niggas say, what you niggas say? I'm Israelite too. Where you descend from? Ishmael. Y'all niggas just made it up. Huh? Ishmael. Yeah, that's where we come from. Y'all niggas don't even know that Ishmael ain't even Moses' son. Yeah. So keep trying. Huh? Here we can see that it was this attempt on part of Apollonius, the founder of the Nazarites, to subvert the Jewish priesthood, who claimed their priestly authority from the high priest Aaron, and to raise in its stead a priesthood after the order of Melchizedek, or the order of the sun. That was also the ground of the hatred toward him by the Jews, and the cause of the charge that he sought to create sedition everywhere among the Jews. I will close my quotations in connection with this remarkable spirit disclosure with the following from Hebrews 7:21. For those, the Jewish priests, remember, Jews are not Israelites. If you follow the book, you're a Jew. If you know you the book, you an Essene, you a Nazarite, you a faithist. You see the difference? If you follow a book, you Jewish. If you know you the book, you an Israelite. Priests were made without an oath, but this, the high priest of the Nazarites, with an oath by him who said unto him, the Lord swear, and I will not repent. Thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek, or the order of the Son. Now, the language there referred to in Psalms 110 and 4 and was evidently used by some priests, perhaps some high priests, according to the order of the Son, which order of priests was in very ancient times designated as the order of Melchizedek, or as the spirit of DAMIS testifies, it was but a modification of a similar expression used by both Hermes Trismegistus and Hesiod as follows: thou art a priest, Michael, forever after the order of the Son. I certainly have adduced sufficient evidence to show the substantial correctness of this surprising testimony of the spirit of DAMIS. This Apollonius was the founder of the Nazarite sect, and that the passages in which the New Testament gives the expression thou art a priest after the order of Melchizedek is taken directly from the formula of priestly ordination among the Nazarites. Wow. And indeed, enough to show that the epistles to the Hebrews is the appeal of the great founder and high priest of the Nazarites to the Jews to abandon their sacerdotal organization and join the holy brethren, partakers of the heavenly calling by becoming priest forever of the order of the Son, designated as Melchizedek, king of Shalem, or peace. Thus, point after point that has completely confounded theologians for centuries is being explained clearly and satisfactorily through the testimony of returning spirits who have personal knowledge of the matters on which their communications bear. The great probability is that the epistle to the Hebrews was written at an earlier period than the other Pauline epistles. And just after he founded the Nazarite sect at Nazarene. On his second journey to India, he obtained the full reformed Hindu gospels of Deva Bodhisattva, which had been drawn up by Deva and adopted at the Council of Ashoka by the Buddhist followers of Christos, which this all happens before the time. This is already set in by the time he got there in roughly 50 or left in 50, it had already been set up 200 years. That's what he's trying to say. They got this reform doctrine, which comes from what? This reform doctrine, gospels of Deraboravistu, who he got. This is who he got it from. Had been drawn up by the devil before him and adopted at the Council of Ashoka some 200 years previous by the Buddhist followers of Christos. These are points of information in relation to the second journey of Apollonius to India that are worthy of special attention. The attempt of Azubel, King Ashoka, to reform the Hindu religion and weaken the arbitrary power and rapacity of the Buddhist priesthood, as a matter of course, called forth a deadly hostility on the part of the Brahmin priesthood. And although Isabel was powerful enough to carry his reform over the greater part of India, as the monuments still standing in various parts of that vast country show, yet it is known that in later years, the Buddhist reformers were driven into southern India and finally out of the country as priests of an established religion, the last Buddhist patriarch, Bodhisattva, taking his departure for China in the early part of the Christian era. The Buddhist Reformation took place from about what? 290 BC to 250 BC. This is the time of Ashoka. Cosmon don't be making this stuff up. Huh? I just spit it out how I know it. When Apollonius went to India in AD 45 or 46 in search of the reformed Buddhist gospels, he was compelled to travel into farther India, as DAMIS tells us, to find them. Right? On which journey DAMIS says he accompanied him. It was there, near Singapore, at the extreme southern limit of farther India, that Apollonius found Iarchus, and through the kind offices of Phraates, king of Tahia, obtained from him the reformed Hindu gospels of Deva Bodhicitta, with which he returned to his Nazarene followers and began those modifications of his original plan, which led to such a bitter opposition on part of Apollonius of Alexandria. Phygellus and Hermogenes, which Apollonius in his letter to Timotheus or Damas refers to as follows in 2 Timothy 1 and 15. This thou knowest, that all they which are in Asia be turned away from me, of whom are the Phygellus and Hermogenes. Wow. Is that in the Bible? 2 Timothy. Hold on. Is that in the Bible? Hold on. That's 2 Timothy 1 and 15. Hold on. Hold on. Wow. This thou knowest, that all they which are in Asia. Where's Asia? Let's look at this. This is what they call in the Mid East of uncertain declaration. Asia, the Orient, Asia proper or proconsular Asia, embracing Mysia, Lydia, Phrygia, and Caria, corresponding closely. That's what I'm about to say. It's in Turkey. Right where Cappadocia is, right where he's from. Oh, wow. That's really in there. The spirit of Hermogenes in his communication fully explains the nature of the controversy between himself and the Essenian associates and Apollonius, which grew out of Apollonius's sacerdotalizing tendencies, like preacher like, you know what I mean? Like ceremonial, which were considered by his opponents as destructive of the communistic polity of the Nazarite sect. How? When he the Nazarite leader, how you gonna tell him? You see, but this book dope. We got to go look at Hermogenes too, because he in this book, he come back, like you say, he come back and give a tale of it, and he tell the truth. He just tell he was hating. Really, if Isabel was a Tamil king, hold on, let's see if let's look and see if King Ashoka was a Tamil. Let's just see. Was King Ashoka a Tamil? Oh shit. Tamil was the language of the Emperor Ashoka. Azabel. He say he speak Tamil. Look, what I tell you, right around 250. He's Look at this here. The Mughals did speak Tamil. In fact, Babar grew up speaking Tamil, and not as some Tamil-hating heathens claim, Shagatai. Those same heathens are hiding the truth from us Tamil lovers. We, the protectors of Tamil, must spread the word and make sure the truth isn't suppressed. Yep. Prakit and Pali, but they of Tamil land. Okay, man. We're not going to trip on that. And we know the Tamils migrated, so we're not tripping on that. Okay, let me just look it up. If Azabel was a Tamil king, that was another reason why the Brahmins, who were Aryans and who used the Sanskrit tongue, sought the more determinedly to drive out the Tamil Reformation. At all events, the Tamil population of India still remaining there are to be found in southern India and on the island of Ceylon. It would seem that Iarchus found a refuge in the jungles amid the tigers, whose numbers gave the name to the neighboring city of Singapore, which meant the city of tigers. In that distant and last refuge of the reformed Buddhism of Deva Bodhisattva, from the hands of Iarchus, the chief of the reformed religion, Apollonius obtained the Gospels, which he afterward used in propagating the Essenian faith, and which have been since modified into what are called the Christian Gospels. Wow. Of these facts, there can be no reasonable doubt. It has long been known that the Christian scriptures could not possibly be what they were purported to be by those who sought, without prejudice, to comprehend them, but to find out where they originated and what they really were has never been possible until these spirit testimonies in relation to them were given. What the Spirit says about the reigns of the Roman emperors, during which most distinguished part of the labors of Apollonius and Tyana were performed, is certainly true, for they extend from AD 33, when they say Jeebus died, but from AD 33 to AD 98 or 99. Remember, he was born about AD 2. It has never been known how long DAMIS lived or whether he survived Apollonius. He tells us he did not, but that he died 10 or 12 years before him at Alexandria in Egypt. This accounts for the fact that DAMIS gave no account of Apollonius's work while in retirement on the island of Patmos, and his subsequent publication of the Gospel of St. John and the Apocalypse, which is Revelations, as they are called at Ephesus, where he closed his long and remarkable labors. The Spirit explains another point. The Spirit explains another point which has been lost sight of in the confusion of the history of the first 3 centuries of the so-called Christian era, and that is that the Greek and the Roman priestly followers of the god Prometheus were bitterly hostile to the Nazarite and Essenian propagation of the teachings and doctrines relating to the Hindu savior Christos. Krishna, as he has been miscalled, and not less hostile to Apollonius himself. They no doubt did all they could to create prejudice and doubt concerning the Christosite teachings of that real founder of the Christian religion. Dang. It is impossible now to judge how far the writings of Apollonius came into the hands of Marcion and Lucian in their original shape. Those 2 Greek writers being none others than the Saint Mark and Saint Luke of the synoptical gospels. Oh, bizzle, drill little bag drop. Oh, look at this, look at here, look at here. Look at here. Wait a minute. It is impossible to judge now how far the writings of Apollonius came into the hands of Marcion and Lucian in their original shape. Those 2 Greek writers being none other than the Saint Mark and the Saint Luke of the synoptical gospels, and it is equally impossible to know to what extent the latter altered them before they came into the hands of Eusebius of Caesarea and his contemporaries and coadjutors of the Nicene, of the Council of Nicene. Oh, Marcion and Lucian are Saint Mark and Saint Luke Oh! I wish I had a bomb button. That's crazy. Man, that's crazy. Oh. Look, hold on. Let's go some more. It is enough to know that in spite of all this modifying by the priest of Prometheus and the priestly founders of the Orthodox Christian religion, the Apollonian or Essenian Christosism is shown to pervade it from beginning to end, and that there is nothing original or true connected with it as a distinctive or original religion. Fire upon a weak heart. Oh, they're going to say we blaspheme, we going to hell for this one, create again. Oh, we exposing. We exposing today. We made your God get naked. Put our foot on that nigga neck. Keep our foot on his neck. This is the false luamong right here. We now come to the consideration of what the Spirit says in relation to Apollonius of Tyana being the real Paul, rendered plain by the epistles of Paul to Timothy. DAMIS tells us that he himself was called Timotheus by the Thessalonians, among whom he resided at the time of the epistles to Timothy were written. It appears that he had gone into Thessalonica years before as a subordinate teacher of the philosophical, theological, and social doctrines of the Nazarites. And when Apollonius was sent to Rome after his return from his second journey to India, that DAMIS, whose name had been changed to Demas, left him and went again to Thessalonica. It is proper here to say that in reply to my question, why were you called Timotheus by the Thessalonians? He replied, this is what they asked the question. In the Thessalonian dialect, Timotheus meant the same as leader or bishop. No one can read the two epistles to Timothy and not see that the person to whom they were addressed was one who had been the immediate pupil of the writer of them. The words addressed to Timothy are unto Timothy, my own son in faith. All right, we got the book lock up there. And then boy. This thing heavy. I want to kind of want to leave it there. You know what I mean? I kind of just want to leave it there. You know? And I kind of just want to leave it there. Because boy, we just got some drop tonight. Ooh, wait. Why they would have to make the claim of Paul to Herod is because they from the same area. They both from Turkey. But this also, y'all gotta understand. The Idumeans are Edomites. So that means they from Esau, which means they're kith and kin brothers with the Israelites anyway. Boy, Timothy. Oh, Jeebus. G was out here clowning. Dang, man, Louis didn't put some work in. That's what I can say. Louis didn't put some work in. He gonna be here a minute. That guy ain't going nowhere for a long time. Man, that was Timothy. Tomorrow, we gonna get on Herod Agrippa. Herod. Ooh-wee. You know he about to come back and tell it. You dig what I'm talking about? And he gonna be an eyewitness to that so-called Paul being pressed by Felix in Rome. Herod gonna really tell you what happened in front of Agrippa. Man. This one was crazy. This one was crazy. This was just as good as Apollonius as Jesus, Paul, and John. Because he gave some more information, and that's how the book do. It dropped this stuff you could not know, and unless you was there, and then show you where to go get it, and then go pull another spirit to prove what he's saying. Because I was fucking with him. If you lying, you don't get people to try to corroborate your story, and they don't know what's going on. Ooh-wee. That Christos doctrine, huh? What y'all think about him saying he the inventor of the Nazarites? Not for anything special, because he started it at Nazarene. Huh? They did a certain thing, lived a certain way, but that's because they was under the order of Melchizedek, or order of the sun, which is Hindu Christos ideology. No different than Greek Prometheus and Mithra ideology. No different than Horus sun worship in Egypt. This is crazy. This is crazy, man. But this was a good one, man. Anybody got any questions? Shout out to everybody for coming through. Much love. You dig what I'm talking about? Much love out here. Much love out here. Creator gang is in the house. Peace to all the righteous God and Nirvanian goddesses. You dig what I'm talking about? Any questions? Anybody got any questions? If you got some questions, drop it in the chat, or I'll throw the link in the chat too if you want to come through. Hold on one second. Any questions? Come on through. Holla at your brother. You know I love y'all. Dig what I'm talking about? Like my bro say to the haters, jaw jackers and naysayers, we love you too. You dig what I'm talking about? Anybody got any questions? Nothing so far? All right, we're going to go ahead and get about this thing real quick. As always, I need you to breathe in. Let the light in, because I'm Cosmo. Wow.
And oh yeah, put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air, oh, it's that Job F, that chow mein, that pepper bull, that cow mane since sunset in the arc of Wayne. My brain moving like Tao saying, so as above, it's so below. That up and that down thing, this flow is atmospheric. I call that a ground game. See, water is knowledge, so if I'm teaching, you're learning. So how your God make a sun without vortexing current? See, the pattern is ponic, I'm reaching out for my people. Oh, watch me flow through your speakers, you feel the force of the ether. And when the force gets the equal, I'm taking off like an eagle. Police popped the pastor yesterday for pushing put equal. My DNA is Moshe, mix that thing with higher water. My spirit rate is OTN, it's just a higher order. Got more light than Kavita, rap a lot just like Tila. Went from sinner to saint, shout out my big homie Sela. Got more torque than a sports car, got more work than a door stop. In the 4 million I make, I'm giving the Dr. Umar, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Super 7 in my rites and ceremonies. I'm married to Jehovah, holy matrimony. Confucius say, in the words of Caillou, before you hit the tomb, be a bridegroom. Only got one question for Miss Susan B. On how to last Ahuin is now a Angui. Blame my inspiration, I'm just thinking thoughts. But in the way of God's, we gon' keep it short. Why Jesus wanna kill me, Matthew 10:34. Just a couple questions that I'm needing to know. Oh, watch me flow, it's so potent. Set the vortex in motion. Super 7, I'm floating across the Aegean Ocean. Oh, you a Muslim now, so I guess you making salat. Well, I'm a Israelite, I'ma make him at the Shabbat. Got Moses on the bumper, super slap off in my spaceship photosphere. So I stay lit, peace and light to the faith is so yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air.